we're on unit 3.6 today. And like I said, we are doing cube factoring. Okay, before we can do cube factoring, I want to make sure that you guys all know your cubes. Okay, so on your paper, I want you to write out your cubes from 1 to 10. So 1 cubed equals, 2 cubed equals. Write them all the way out through 10. There's a chart in the classroom. Yes, you can use the chart. But what I'm telling you is you need to be able to go backwards. So we're going to fill these in right now. But the real challenge is going to come on homework and on problems because you are going to need to be able to go backwards. Okay, so you're going to need to know, for instance, that 1 is what number cubed? 1. That one was easy. Okay, but you're going to need to know the others as well. So make sure you know all of the cubes. So we're going to fill them in. Okay, so 1 cubed is 1. 2 cubed is 8. And remember, cubed does not mean times 3. It means multiplied by itself. So 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 times 2 gives you 8. 3 cubed is 27. 4 cubed, 64. 5 cubed, 125. Now, up until here, most people kind of recognize those. Past 5 gets a little bit trickier, okay? 6 cubed is 216. 7 cubed, 343. 8 cubed is 512. 9 cubed is 729. And 10 cubed is 1000. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, well, great, why do I need to know this? Because if I need to find 5 cubed, I could just multiply 5 times 5 times 5. Well, that's great, but you need to be able to go backwards, okay? Because we're going to see things today where you might see 512. You need to recognize that that is 8 to the third power, 8 cubed. So you do need to be able to go backwards. So the more you work with these, the easier they'll kind of commit to memory and you'll memorize them. But these are what you need to have memorized. Okay, now there's a general formula for cube factoring. And if you have a cubed plus b cubed, excuse me, a cubed plus b cubed. Okay, whenever you see something with cubes in it, first thing you want to do is you want to put a small parentheses and then put a kind of larger one. Okay, so there's going to be 2 parentheses. Then the next step I want you to follow is we're going to put in our signs. Okay, now cube factoring is, we call it cube factoring, but a lot of times you're going to hear people call it SOAP factoring. And the reason we call it SOAP is there's an acronym for the signs. So I want you to actually write out S, O, A, and P go together. S, O, A, and P. And these represent the signs for your parentheses, okay? S stands for same, so same sign as what you started with. So your problem has a plus in between. This is a plus. O stands for opposite, so opposite sign is negative. AP stands for always positive. So same, opposite, always positive. SOAP. Okay, that's how we put our signs in. Now, when we fill in the letters or the numbers here, it's always the first thing that's being cubed. So the first thing being cubed here is A, plus the second thing being cubed, in this case is B. The first thing squared, so A squared. A combination of everything, so combination of both the things being cubed, so A and B. And finally, the second thing squared. That is your general formula. Okay, and that is for A cubed plus B cubed. Now, we can also do problems that are A cubed minus B cubed. And lucky for you, the formula is exactly the same. Okay, we do the same steps. Put in 2 parentheses, one's a little bit smaller, one's going to be larger. Okay, it's always going to be a binomial, so 2 terms times a trinomial, which is 3 terms. Again, we're going to do the same thing with our signs. Write S, O, A, and P, and they stand for the same thing. Same, so same sign as you started with is negative. Opposite, positive. AP, always positive. S, O, A, P. Same, opposite, always positive. Okay? Same things are going to break down. The first thing, the second thing, the first thing squared, combination of both, and the second thing squared. Once you memorize this kind of template or this formula for cube factoring, that's all you have to do. Okay, so you need to memorize these. So just memorize that it's SOAP, that's the biggest thing that people mess up, are the signs. And then what's inside of them will kind of fall into place. Okay, so I'm going to tell you to factor completely. That's what your instructions will say. Factor completely. And for example 1, I would like you to factor x cubed minus 8. X cubed minus 8. Now, before you start, I want to identify what is it that's being cubed. So what is being cubed in this first term? X. So this is x cubed. Minus what is it that's being cubed to give you 8? 2 cubed. So I'm going to write that underneath just so it's a little bit easier to write my parentheses. Okay? So do one kind of smaller parentheses and one that's a little bit longer because there's more terms. Okay? First thing you want to do is write out SOAP and literally write S-O-A-P above your parentheses. Okay? It will help you. Then put in your signs. So same sign here would be negative. Opposite is positive. AP, always positive. The last one is always positive. Then put in your terms. So the first thing that's being cubed is x. The second thing that's being cubed is 2. The first thing squared, so x squared. A combination of both of them, so multiplied all together, is 2x. Now, technically, it's x versus then 2. Would I want to write x2? No, you write at 2x. Okay, it just doesn't make sense if you write x2. And then finally, the last thing, squared. Now, do not leave your answer like that. You actually do have to multiply it out. So here, your final answer would be x minus 2 times x squared plus 2x plus 4. And that's the answer that we're looking for. That is completely factored. Okay, so once you can find the pattern, it's fairly repetitive. Okay, you just have to commit the pattern to memory. Try another one. How about x cubed plus 1,000? X cubed plus 1,000. Again, first thing you want to do is identify what's being cubed. So here the x is being cubed plus what cubed gives you 1,000? 10. Make your 2 parentheses, so one's a little bit smaller, one's on the larger side. Put in your SOAP sign, so S-O-A-P. Same for this one is going to be positive. Opposite is negative, always positive at the end. And then just fill in the blanks. The first term is x, the next term is 10. First thing squared, x squared, combination of both, 10x, and the second thing, squared. Now, make sure that you simplify that if necessary. So this one is necessary, x plus 10 times x squared minus 10x plus 100. And that's the answer that we're looking for. Now, unfortunately, they're not always going to be quite that simple. They're going to be a little bit more complicated sometimes. So let's try 125x cubed minus 1. 125x cubed minus 1. So here, let's identify what's being cubed. What cubed gives you 125? 5. And what cubed gives you x cubed? X. So this is actually 5x, both being cubed. Minus what cubed gives you 1? 1. Okay, 1 to any power gives you 1. Put in your parentheses. Place in your SOAP sign, so same, opposite, always positive. Actually put in your sign, so same is negative. opposite positive, always positive. Here, the first term is 5 and x. Don't forget, it gets the 5 and the x. That's the same thing together. Second term is 1. The first thing squared. So 5x squared. Okay, make sure that you're squaring both the 5 and the x. So we'll do that in my next step. Combination of all of them. So 5x times 1. Do you really have to write the times 1? No, because it's not going to change anything. And then the second thing squared. So if I clean that up, you're going to get 5x minus 1 times 25x squared. Okay, make sure that square goes to both the number and the variable there. Plus 5x plus 1. And that's the answer that we're looking for. That is completely factored. Yes?
How are we keeping the little exponent 2 on the 25x?
Why am I keeping what?
The exponent 2.
Right here?
Yeah.
Because it's the first thing squared. It's the first term squared. So here it was the first thing squared. So it's always the first thing, the second thing, first one squared, combination of both, second thing squared. Okay. Okay, let's try another one. Again, I want you to factor completely. Factor completely. For number 4, factor completely x cubed plus 216. X cubed plus 216. Now, if you have your cubes memorized, this is where it becomes very helpful. What cubed gives you x cubed is just x, plus what cubed gives you 216? 6. Okay? If you didn't know that, hopefully you would realize that by seeing a cube at the beginning, hopefully that's going to kind of signal in your brain, okay, this has to be something cubed. Okay, so just kind of commit those cubes to memory, and it will make your life a little simpler on these. Okay, so 2 parentheses, one smaller, one a little bit larger. Put in your soap signs. So same is positive, opposite, negative, always positive. And our soap sign. So the first thing is x, second part is 6. First thing squared, x squared, combination of both, 6x. Second thing squared, clean that up, x plus 6 times x squared minus 6x plus 36 as an answer. Okay, let's try another one. For number 5, again, factor completely. I'd like you to factor completely 27 plus x cubed. 27 plus x cubed. So what cubed gives you 27? 3. 3 cubed plus x cubed. Now, does it matter that in this case you have a number first? No, it doesn't matter. You still do the same thing. Okay? So it's going to look a little different, but it does not matter if you have a number or a variable first. That's totally fine. So place in your soap signs. Actually write them in. So same as positive, opposite negative, always positive. First term is 3, second term is x. First term squared, so 3 squared. Combination of both is 3x. Second thing squared. You cannot leave it like that, so please make sure and simplify. So 3 plus x times 9 minus 3x plus x squared. That is completely factored.